Hey kids, it's LaMena. Welcome to Science from My Sofa, where we're trying to celebrate Columbus Day by dropping a little science knowledge into some myths about this controversial historical figure. Myth 1. Columbus proved that the Earth is round. We like to tell our kids that people in the 1400s were so stupid that they didn't even know the Earth was round, and they thought that if Columbus sailed out into the ocean, he would fall off the edge of our very flat planet. This is a stupid myth. People have known since antiquity that the Earth was round, and they knew that because they would watch boats sailing off into the ocean, and they would watch them disappear from the bottom up, as would happen over a curved surface. No one believed that the Earth was flat. We reserve that kind of stupidity for 2020. Likely at the time, this was possibly caused by Protestant propaganda against the Catholic Church, saying that Catholics believed that the Earth was flat, essentially implying that they were moronic and out of touch with modern understandings. Myth 2. Columbus civilized the natives. I suppose you could say that if you really stretch the meaning of civilized. Columbus put himself into a position of power against the natives of Hispaniola, and he ruled them essentially demanding gold and spices and other gifts, and if they did not give him enough, he would do things like have their hands cut off, or punish them by cutting off their noses, or enslaving them, or killing them. I don't know your definition of civilized, but for me that's just not doing it. As a matter of fact, the Spanish crown agreed. In the year 1500, Columbus was arrested and brought back to Spain in chains. He spent a couple of weeks in jail before the Spanish king decided to free him, restore his property, and then bankroll a fourth voyage. Because I guess the amount of money you bring back is more important than whether you're cutting body parts off of people. Terrible people like terrible people. A lot of people choose to honor today as Indigenous Peoples Day, as a way of recognizing the people who were hurt or enslaved or killed by Columbus, rather than honoring Columbus himself. Why? Because we are not terrible people. Myth 3. He was just a product of his time. Sure, Columbus thought that killing and enslaving people of a different race was fine, but that was so 1400s. It would be different now. Shout out 2020. Okay, there's an argument for Columbus being just a product of his time, but there's also an argument for him being actually insane. Myth 4. Columbus brought syphilis back to Europe. Actually, this is the one bad thing that he doesn't get credit for. Molecular evidence now shows that syphilis outbreaks were starting in Europe pretty much around the time that Columbus was leaving on his voyages. So let's talk about syphilis. It's a sexually transmitted disease caused by a spirochete bacteria. Nowadays, it is really easily treatable in the early stages by a shot of an antibiotic such as penicillin, but back then, it wasn't. Let's talk a bit about the symptoms. The first phase of syphilis starts with a sore, an open sore called a chancre, usually at the point of infection. Once that fades, within a few weeks, you can have other symptoms like a full body rash or swollen lymph nodes, fever, fatigue, or even hair loss. The disease can appear to go latent, but can also actually attack the central nervous system in neurosyphilis. Syphilis can attack the brain, causing hallucinations, paranoia, delusions, and personality changes. Christopher's son Ferdinand wrote of his father being ill multiple times during voyages with symptoms and patterns that match those of syphilis. In his diary, he referred to his father as having the French sickness, which was a contemporary name for the disease. It's possible that some of Columbus's worst attitudes and behavior toward the natives of Hispaniola were caused by the brain damage from the syphilis spirochete. Or it's possible he was just a terrible human being. Either way, happy Indigenous Peoples Day.